Okay, thanks Manisha and the scientific committee for having me here today. So I think there will be some sort of overlap with Mahesh's talk also. The first reaction when somebody says you want to take a biopsy of the choroidal retina is this, because a lot of times you don't get enough cases to orient ourselves to what are the various techniques involved. And a lot of times you see that the eyes are quite having quite good vision, and also sometimes maybe the only seeing eye, and your anxiety goes up even further. There's again a case of a male patient who had a small iris and ciliary body melanoma with the normal vision, and more or less the same technique which Mahesh had already depicted. So so here I was trying to, instead of doing internal cut the iris, I thought I'll do it from the outside only, doing a sort of a sectoral iridectomy. So this is how I did, removing it along with the part of the sclera, and along with that doing a broad-based sectoral iridectomy. Luckily, the patient retained six vision in this particular eye, and it was proven to be a melanomatous growth there. So mainly, as already these slides already, Dr. Manisha has pointed out the various indications for doing this sort of biopsy. I just showed two cases of medullopithelioma which we had to deal with there in our practice. So this is a small in a middle-aged man, a small mass, vascularized mass sitting in the ciliary body area near the 12 o'clock zone. So that is the Swan-Jacob lens, which demonstrate the so-called vascular mass there. We're not sure exactly. It was initially diagnosed to be a amylonotic sort of melanoma by one of our oncologist, Dr. Parag. So we intend for a full excisional biopsy. So sometimes you do a small piece to just check what the content is, but here, so I didn't see addition to the either the uvea or the sclera. So when I reflected the uveal tissue, I saw that it was prolapsing out nicely. And then this was sort of like removed like a nucleus, expressed like a nucleus. You can see that's coming out. And it was quite a translumerating also, more like a translucent tumor with a lot of vascular elements in that lesion. So incisional biopsy will mean that you're taking a small piece. This is one around 7-8-year-old little girl, but a small lesion which was picked up during a photograph, night photograph. So yeah, I planned to do an incisional biopsy, but she just dropped off and presented to us approximately 1.5 years from the initial diagnosis, and the tumor had grown nicely with a lot of very fibrotic elements growing onto the posterior capsule, and vision had quite considerably dropped. So we thought we'll go for instead of incision, I thought I'd try to remove as much as possible. And initially, when I tried to remove the tumor, it was very stuck because of the extensive fibrous elements. So then we had to remove the lens, cut the lesion from inside to mobilize it, and then remove it. And the fibrotic elements were extending almost more than 6 clock hours. And I realized that I felt that I had injured the retina at this point of near the 6 o'clock meridian, but I was not sure. So normally, if you felt that you have injured the retina, it's better to immediately shift to a 3-port vitrectomy and finish it off at that point of time only. But somehow I thought I had probably had a small hope that I would not have get this is the area I thought I had injured the retina, but I thought we'll leave it as it is. But eventually she went in for RD, and we had to do the surgery for correcting the RD. She had developed a small dialysis at the 5:30 clock hour, which was finally dealt in the second surgery. Both these cases came up to be a medullopithelioma. So again, this all been shown extensively with the previous speakers, including Mahesh and Manisha. We are showing a small video of how I take a biopsy. This is a case of suspected lymphoma. Just trying to insert the needle directly through the transscleral approach and trying to aspirate in as a dry vitrectomy, not doing much vitrectomy, directly entering the needle and trying to aspirate so that you get a sort of an undilated sample. There's one more case of proven candida, which later came on to suspected a fungal abscess, and finally turned out to be a candida infection here. So again, you can see that it's a small contraption using a 24 gauge intramuscular needle which we use. So bend it accordingly, and then try to take a dry without doing any vitrectomy, directly inserting it and aspirating with the taking already talked about in the previous talk. This again, we did not know what it was. Even the biopsy came out inconclusive. The patient had multiple bouts of uveitis with a mass lesion in the inferior ciliary body area. So we had to do a lensectomy, and then directly trying to take a biopsy from that area by trimming it with a bimanual technique using scissors. So it came up with only inflammatory elements where you could not get a final diagnosis. And finally, even though there was no RD, finally I went in for a thysis, a young kid, around 3-4-year-old kid actually. So this is how to do a retinal biopsy. Nothing special. Like normally we have been doing retinal autografts for all our failed matter holes. This is what we do: do a laser, do a cautery, and then take a small graft. So this is the same technique which you do for retinal biopsy. So people who are doing autograft should be quite well versed with this. This video provided by Dr. Rajesh in Bangalore. So this is again a case of suspected case of lymphoma, and this is how again the same technique where you do a barrage and cautery. So superficial cautery for a retinal biopsy, but if you're planning for a chorioretinal biopsy, you have to go lightly press the diathermy into the choroid, and then do a little bit deeper cautery because the vascular the vessels from the choroid can bleed much more severely. So depending upon what you want to exercise, either a superficial or a deep cautery will be the choice, depending upon whether you want to remove the retina only or the bit of choroid as well. So mainly thing before removing it, make sure that you have trimmed off the vitreous and make a large enough sclerotomy. You don't want to lose this very special specimen because you want to get other sites to remove this. So ideal choice would be superior and nasal quadrant will be the best choice to remove these masses from. So, but while removing, as Sir pointed out, to switch off the infusion and make sure that your sclerotomy is large enough and adequately. This is one case, again, a case of lymphoma where the vitreous biopsy was shown to be inconclusive. So, doing a nice laser and then diathermy, and then using either a vertical scissor or a horizontal scissor, depending upon the orientation of the lesion, you can whichever suits your hand, you can use this and take a nice deep cut into the choroid and the superficial retina. And again, as I told you, you have to make adequate so that you don't break this specimen to multiple pieces or lose it. So make a nice sclerotomy and trim out the vitreous around it before you attempt to hold it and remove. And depending upon the size and location of the large defect, you can either go for a oil, gas, or just air, depending upon the size of the defect which you have made. So these are the various techniques which I've been practicing. So only thing you have to keep in mind, this is the last resort. You have to take the time to take the plain vitreous aspirate, and all those things should be the first choice. When you don't have any kind of very inconclusive evidence from all these, then if it's vision threatening also, you may want to remove take a little bit more drastic approach, because the risk of all these so-called procedures can be quite severe. It may be even in the best of hands. So these techniques should be used very sparingly and only when it is needed. Thank you.